I V M.
I find it baffling how I've lived my life without cred up till now because now I can never go back. With Cred Protect, you will never miss a due date again because the app reminds you to pay your bills on time. Plus, it detects any hidden charges on your bill and gives you category based analysis of your spends. It's like they've thought of everything to help make management of my cards frictionless. Don't believe me? Well, just download the Cred app. Folks, welcome to Paisa Vaisa brought to you by Cred, the most rewarding credit card bill payments app. So I'm your host Anupam Gupta, B50 on Twitter, and I'm absolutely thrilled, really thrilled to have with me for the very first time on our show, on our podcast, HDFC Mutual Fund. Folks, it's a big one. We're going to talk about the latest new fund offer, the HDFC Multi-Cap Fund. My guest, Gopal Agrawal, fund manager at HDFC Mutual Fund. Don't go anywhere. You'll really want to be listening into this one. We'll be right back after this great convenience break. Today's workplace is changing. Rather than the office, now it is more like thousands of little offices with businesses relying even more on their IT heroes. And what do these heroes need? An unrivaled PC platform with performance, security, manageability, and stability for the entire fleet. The Intel vPro platform. With hardware based security and advanced level threat detection, you can pummel security threats without lifting a finger. Or save the day anywhere by remotely updating and restoring your PCs even if they won't boot. And you'll feel powerful using a validated and stable platform that ensures image and driver compatibility when you add new PCs. The Intel vPro platform, built for what IT heroes do, built for business. And welcome back. Gopal, welcome to Paisa Vaisa. Thank you so much for doing this for our listeners.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. So, Gopal, multi-cap funds. All of us, our listeners, everyone, who watches or knows the market knows about large cap funds and mid or small cap funds. What exactly are multi-cap funds? How do they work and why are they unique?
Sure. So, multi-cap fund is clearly has a defined asset allocation between the large cap, mid cap, and small cap. In this fund, there is 25% minimum allocation towards each large cap, mid cap, and small cap, and remaining 25% has been left to the discretion of the fund manager, where we can either put into this three strategy, or we can put some money into REIT or InvIT or into fund of funds also.
So let's talk about this diversification across market cap segments, right? Because a multi-cap gives you all the flexibility to invest in each of these market segments, which is large cap, mid cap, small cap, and then I guess there's something called flexi cap. So why is this diversification important from our portfolio perspective?
So very clearly, this diversification is very important, as we know that any diversification try to reduce the risk, concentration risk in the portfolio. This is a very good for a common retail investor, which has urge to create wealth in equity market, but they don't have very large knowledge to time it well. At what time which strategy, whether it is a large cap will do well or mid cap or small cap. And generally we have seen it is very difficult to time the market. So in that backdrop, that the multi cap strategy is a wonderful strategy because the asset allocation has been fixed at minimum 25% each into large, mid, and small. So I would say that the per unit risk of to the investor actually diminishes when you diversify. So this is a product which is very good if you have investment horizon of over 3 to 5 years.
Okay, let's just get into a bit of the detail of how the allocation is done in each and every bucket, right? So there is how much in large caps, how much in mid caps, how much in small caps, and that flexible portfolio.
Sure. So in this, clearly, what I just want to come very clearly, this category has come up from September 2020 when the regulator has carved out this strategy out of the flexi cap. What happened in generally the flexi cap strategy in Nifty 500 is a benchmark which is skewed towards the large cap. In Nifty 500 benchmark, you have 78% weightage to the large cap, 15% to the mid cap, and 7% to the small cap. And the discretion is given to the fund manager totally where they want to move. So as the benchmark has large cap heavy, generally speaking, every flexi cap tends to be large cap heavy, right? While in multi multi-cap, what the category itself says, you have to have minimum 25% in each into this three bucket, right? So this will give you real good diversification, right? You got my point.
Yes.
So that is the very clear difference. And I would say this is very good for common retail investor, looking at very clear demarcation in terms of asset allocation.
Great. So, folks, there's one recommendation from my side which I would recommend that you do is there is the presentation of the HDFC Multicap Fund NFO. Please go and download it. It'll be very interesting for you guys to know more about this product. So, moving forward, Gopal, what about performance, right? Because I saw that on slide 4 of your presentation that you've said that in terms of risk return, multicap is in a very sweet spot. It's somewhere in the middle of the large cap and the mid and small cap performance. It's somewhere in the middle. So, if we
Yes.
talk about performance first, of course, is if you can tell us what is the benchmark that you use, because like you said, the Nifty 500 actually it's almost 80% large cap. So do you have a different
Yes.
benchmark? One, and two, what has been the performance of your strategy versus that?
Sure. So in this strategy, Nifty multi-cap benchmark is having 50% weight to the large cap, 25% to the mid cap, and 25% to the small cap. That is a benchmark itself, actually. Now, in actual portfolio, certainly it will differ because I will try to, our job is to create alpha and have consistent performance in the portfolio. So depending on the market opportunity, we'll try to, change between the various segment of the market as and when situation changes. I just want to give you some insight. We have seen in the last 16 years, the 6 years, the large caps have done the best. 3 years mid cap and 7 years small caps have done the best, actually. So it is very difficult for anybody to time the market well. That is why I said this product with 25% each can work very well over a long period of time. And generally we have seen in a period of tightening liquidity, hardening interest rate, and also credit cost expanding, in this period the mid cap and small caps tends to underperform, and in the money goes to the safety, which is large cap, and that tends to outperform. So that we have seen. So I just give you a period between FY14 and FY17. Mid of 2017, you see small cap and mid caps have done well. The post the ILFS crisis in September 2017, we have seen the significant destruction in mid cap and small cap for the next 2.5 years, where like significant outperformance from large cap has been done. The mid and small have generally, fell by more than 50%, actually, right? While post-pandemic, in the recovery cycle from July 2020, we are seeing the mid cap and small caps are outperforming the large cap. So that you can see in the last 7-8 years itself, we are seeing the 2 good cycle for small and mid, and 1 good cycle for large cap. So that is why I would say that it is very difficult to time, and we can't predict macro so well. We don't know the way how ILFS came into picture, all this crisis. So I would say that is why this product is very good for a common retail investor who has investment horizon of not less than 3 years to invest, park money, and enjoy over a period of time.
Great. So, folks, there's your takeaway that different market cap segments perform at different periods of time, and that is what the past history shows you. And this is a kind of a fund which balances everything out. So, last question before we go into the break, Gopal: how is HDFC Multicap different from other similar products in the market? Because there are quite a few multicap funds out there. Why would you say, or rather, how is HDFC Multicap different from all of them?
So generally, I would like to share something which is good for an investor to understand. Means first, I will not like to say that we are totally different than what my competitor are, because it will be wrong to say. The only part is that HDFC is known for very strong research processes. We have over 900 9 research dedicated sectoral analysts. Apart from this, we have 3 fund managers also have research in responsibility, including me. We cover over 400 stock ourselves, and which includes 85% market cap of India. So significant, strong research base will help us to construct the portfolio. And also in HDFC, we have very good, large, mid and small cap fund, which is already available in the fund house. So the fund, the current scheme and also the guidance from the fund manager will help us to construct good, suitable portfolio for our investors.
Great. It's just one thing that I realized that maybe our listeners might want an idea of the examples of large cap sectors. So when you say
Sure.
large cap sectors, what sectors are we, or large cap stocks or sectors, whatever, what sectors are we talking about? When you say mid caps, typically what are those sectors? Small caps, what
Sure.
are those sectors?
So generally, the large cap sectors primarily, any company can fit into large, mid, and small. But generally we are seeing the companies which are into banking and financial, or into energy space, or into the commodity space, or into you can say engineering and construction company, which have. So generally speaking, you have textile sector, ceramic sector, application, software development, or lab, pathological lab company. They are generally come into the small cap sector, right? While you have auto ancillary, then you have let's say this you can say the API company in pharma sector. They
Sure.
generally come into mid cap. Right. So while the core pharma generic company comes into large cap. So these are like a primary differentiation we are seeing actually.
Folks, just remember that, like Gopal had said at the start of his answer, that there are companies that can be across all spectrums.
It generally what SEBI has mandated very clearly, the top 100 companies are large cap. Between 101 to 250 is a mid cap. That is 150 number of stock, and 251 beyond are small cap. Right. So these are the SEBI definition. Top 100 is large cap, 101 to 250 is mid cap, and beyond is a small cap.
That's a very clear and simple classification. And I hope that makes you guys understand how multi-caps work. So, folks, on that note, we're going to take a small credit convenience break.
$100. That's all it takes to begin your journey with Bitcoin and Ethereum. No, really. With CoinSwitch, you can start investing in over 100 cryptocurrencies with just 100 rupees. On top of that, there are zero charges for deposits and withdrawals, so you can trade, buy, sell, however and whenever you want. All of this, plus their extremely intuitive interface, makes CoinSwitch the perfect app for beginners in the crypto space. But don't take my word for it. Just download CoinSwitch for free and try it out for yourself. If you'd like more information on cryptocurrencies, tune into A Show About Crypto with me, Rohan Joshi, my new adventure on IVM Podcasts. CoinSwitch, kuch to badlega.
And welcome back to this really special episode of Paisa Vaisa. Gopal, now let's talk about big picture, right? Because a lot of people are bullish about India's economic prospects going forward after the COVID. Let's hope that there is no third wave. But where things stand as of now, what's your take? What's HDFC Mutual Fund's take of India's economic prospects going forward?
So currently, India's economic prospects are really looking quite bright because see, India's real problems comes from two liquid. One which comes from top, and one which comes from the bottom. Means the rain which comes from the top, and the oil which comes from the bottom. Right. So what we are seeing for the last 3 consecutive years, the monsoon in India was normal, which is very positive. So the soil moisture level or to the reservoir level is very comfortable. So the food grain production side, we are in a comfortable position. Now coming to the water which comes from bottom, it is the oil. So the oil prices, in my view, because of decarbonization, people moving to EV, natural gas, hydrogen cell, battery technology. So incrementally, we are heading for a benign oil price scenario. Very near term, what has happened, the oil prices have moved up because of vaccination. The demand has picked up, while OPEC has curtailed the production dramatically. And also because of COVID, we saw the US oil prices went to negative, right? So the producers of shale oil were in a shock position. So as soon as there was some recovery, they hedged their production at lower level because they want certainty, right? So because of this, the US shale production is lower by 1 million barrel than the pre-COVID level. So my sense is that with oil is at close to $75 to $80 per barrel, this is very remunerative for them. And as soon as their hedging period will be over, you will see the supply will start hitting the market. And based on various estimates, people are saying that after March, April 2022, you will see additional supply from Shell will hit the market, so which will likely to keep the oil market in balance and benign oil prices. And apart from this, you must have heard about EV adoption, battery technology, hydrogen fuel. So that is why structurally India is looking very solid. And there are a lot of good effort done by the government on overcoming the problems in GST collection. Now GST collection is averaging YTD at 1,15,000 crore per month, which is higher than the budgeted number. And also, we have very comfortable forex reserve of $640 billion, which we have import cover of close to 15 months, right? And now manufacturing is doing very good. India has given PLI scheme for 13 sectors, right? And then we have certain natural advantage because of benign interest rate scenario, good hiring into IT sector, right? You must have heard IT sectors people are getting 4 to 5 job offers, significantly heightened demand because of digitization across the globe. So we have seeing very good urban consumption. Power demand is rising. In recent past, the auto sector has not done well because of pandemic lockdown, and then followed by chip shortages, so which is likely to come back in the next 6 to 9 months, which will further give impetus to industrial GDP. So I would say India has a very positive macro outlook. In near term, certainly, I would like to caution to the viewer and to the listener that in the very short run, what we are seeing because of higher energy prices, and in near term, the liquidity is tightening. Interest rates have bottomed out, and our trade deficit have moved up. So, in very very near term, from I would say from September to March 2022, this period will have some volatility in our macroeconomic picture, but the medium term picture really looks brighter.
Excellent. Thanks for that detailed answer, Gopal. What about specific bright spots, or sectors or anything that you're looking forward to? Because a lot of people talk about the capex cycle coming back. Some people are talking about consumption. Some people are talking about anything of other sectors. So, from your perspective, what are the specific sectors that you are looking forward to?
See, first of all, the consumption will certainly thrive in India because we have really the young population, and you know that in the era of social media, everybody wants to look better, feel better, and wants to post better picture onto Instagram or on their profile pic. I'm just sharing with you how societal changes have happened. In my age, when we used to get a job, first of all requirement was to buy a house. Now it has become maybe tertiary, or beyond it, right? So there are many other priorities have come into picture. So this is the social changes, societal changes which we are seeing. So that is why I'm very bullish on consumption, actually, right? And especially people are moving for packaged and branded products. So, and because of COVID also, we are seeing now people have more propensity to health and hygiene. So that is why consumption, this is a structural story that that will certainly be there. There is no denial of it. Apart from this, I'm very positive on manufacturing in India because India has really come up as a good sourcing hub. And because of PLI schemes of impetus from the government, really a lot of great things are happening in that. And corporate, I have perhaps missed to say, corporate balance sheet has repaired significantly in India. So with the improvement in profit, debt equity ratio has come down from 1 to 0.71. So the companies are in a position to do some investment into debottlenecking, refurbishment of plant, or even putting up the new capacity. So that is why manufacturing, I am very bullish, actually.
Excellent. Let's talk about the equity markets outlook. That's also a section in your presentation, Gopal. But where we are today, there's kind of, I wouldn't say nervousness, but people are probably taking a step back. There are concerns around valuation. Everything has gone up so fast, so soon. What are your views on equity market outlook going forward?
So certainly, I'll concur to this view that in the market currently, only factor which is not very comfortable is the valuation. Okay, because on the near-term basis, on FY23 basis, I would say the market is really fairly valued at this juncture. No denial of this, but so that there can be some correction in the market, which I can't rule it out. But this, as I told you, in many ways, from September till March 2022, we may have some headwind in terms of macro liquidity, interest rates, and everything. But this is not a long-lasting main problem actually. So, and earning growth picture of the corporate India has really turned good, with improvement in credit cost in the banking and financial space, recovery in auto space, which is expected. Housing cycle has revived, right? So I would say that if you take a longer term picture, not very long, very far long, but if you take even 2 to 3 years view, then situation is good, and there can be correction in the journey. I can't rule it out, but it won't be disastrous, right? Because when your balance sheet is very good, you can see now steel sector has also delevered, which we have never heard of, right? So the corporate balance sheet is so strong, right? So the market can correct, but it can't be so meaningful that until unless some unforeseen event happen, right? So really the downside in my view is there, can be there, but it won't derail the rally, and the medium term outlook looks very positive for me.
Excellent, Gopal. Last question, something that all of us talk about a lot, whether it's on social media or whether it's a friend, family, everywhere you read, active versus passive. Big
Yes.
debate. What are your thoughts?
So I'll be very upfront to say that, generally in a growing economy, the active fund management does well, so still in India, there is a room for active management. But what has happened, let me be very clear for the viewers to understand what happened post the ILFS crisis. In 18 months, the Nifty performance came only from 5 stocks. Okay, right? So remaining 45 stock didn't participate. So you can tell me, that for any active manager, it was impossible to beat the index, right? And because of that concentrated move which has happened in the market, that is why what happened, it had really, say it has given very inferior picture of active fund management performance for close to 4 to 5 years. Right. While I would say that this narrower rally which has happened in the market during that period may not continue, and which we are seeing this year. In the last 15 months or so, we are really seeing broad-based rally in the market, and active fund managers are able to outperform the market. So, in a high growth scenario, normal credit cost and also good liquidity and benign interest rate, generally the active managers tends to outperform. But honestly speaking, in the long run, creating alpha would be difficult. But still, I would say for the next coming decade, still I feel that active can do justice with the money from the investors.
Fantastic, folks. And on that note, that is a wrap on this episode of Paisa Vaisa. My guest, Gopal Agrawal, fund manager, HDFC Mutual Fund. Gopal, thank you. Thank you so much. And folks, now the credit privilege tip of the week. Understand which category your equity mutual fund is investing in, right? Is it a large cap, mid cap, small cap, active, passive? So remember that equity mutual funds are of all categories, are of all varieties. And the one that you're investing in should be aligned to your long-term financial goals. The last thing you want is to have a short-term financial goal and a long-term asset. That's a clear mismatch. Please check which type of equity mutual fund you are investing in. That, folks, is your credit privilege tip of the week. And listeners, if you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on our social media. We are IVM Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to reach out to me, I'm your host, Anupam Gupta, B50 on Twitter. Thank you, folks, for listening to Paisa Vaisa, brought to you by Cred, the most rewarding credit card bill payments app.
No material on the show should be considered as financial advice. The material on the show is for informational purposes only. Please consult a financial advisor before taking any investment decision.
Investors understand that their principal will be at very high risk. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully. Hey everybody, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On Cyrus Says, Cyrus is joined by Ganesh Ramani. He's the Managing Director at Mars Pet Care India. They discuss pet ownership and pet homelessness and an AI-driven pet lost and found app. We welcome another new show to our network, Ikka Dukka Economy with Abhinav Trivedi. In the first episode of this Hindi language show, Abhinav speaks to Dr. Bharat Jhunjhunwala about fiscal deficit and its effects on our daily lives. Tune in to new episodes every Tuesday. On All Things Policy, the folks from Takshashila Institute discuss the lack of support for India's police personnel. On Tere Mere Raste, Keshav introduces us to Chandrabhaga Beach. On The Wire Talks, Anushka Jain, lawyer and policy researcher, talks to Siddharth. They discuss the dangers of facial recognition and why her organization started the campaign Ban the Scam. And on Marathi Kirkitun, Dr. Rajiv and Manik Deshmukh explore the evergreen poetry of the late poet Mangesh Patgaonkar. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Also, do remember, go check out our website, ivmpodcast.com/YouTube, to get a list of all of our YouTube channels. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. And finally, we would like to thank our sponsors on the network this week: Cred, Bank of Baroda, HDFC Mutual Fund, CoinSwitch, Kuber, Intel, and Oxfam India. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Do you find yourself making routines and timetables but never actually being able to stick to them? Do you find yourself downloading productivity apps only to uninstall them in a few weeks? In that case, you've reached the right place. Hi, my name is Ashtin Doctor and I host the Habit Coach podcast, a podcast that helps you get all of this in order, set better routines and make better habits. And now, we're coming up in a Kannada adaptation as well. Make sure to check it out every Monday and Thursday on the IVM Podcast Network or on all major podcast streaming platforms.